Thank the Planning Commission to order. Thanks, everybody. Apologize for the couple-minute late start here. Just a reminder for those on the phone and on the computer, please mute your mics if you're not talking. Thank you. I'm the chair today. Commissioner Gunkelman is not available to be here, so I will be chairing the meeting. It's my first time, so be gentle with me here. I have a couple announcements to start. Item C about the brown bag. We will not be having a brown bag on Wednesday, February 17th. And then when you're looking at the rest of the agenda items, the following items are continued to the next meeting, March 2nd, 2021 on the Planning Commission agenda. Items 1, the proposed growth amendment in Section 5, Township 138 North, Range 49 West. And item 2, the proposed text amendment to the Land Development Code. Item 6A and 6B, the proposed plat and zone change for the 220 addition at 214 and 220 6th Avenue North. So there will not be any presentations by staff on these items, and no action will be taken today by the commission. Is there anyone either in person here or on the phone that is planning to testify on these items today? Seeing and hearing none, we will we'll take a motion to continue those items to the March 2nd meeting and proceed with the rest of the items. But first, looking for a motion to approve the order of agenda.
This is Melissa, so moved.
Thanks, Melissa. Is there a second?
I'll second it. This is Scott.
Thanks, Commissioner Stauffer. Any discussion? And we do a roll call on approval agenda? No, just, okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Going on to B, the minutes. If you've had a chance to read the minutes, I would take a motion.
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
We have a motion from Commissioner Stauffer. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks.
Commissioner Task.
Thanks, Commissioner Tassa. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none, motion is approved. And item C, again, we will not be having the brown bag. So moving on to the public hearing items, I believe we can take the continuations all in one motion. Is that right? So we'll, just to reiterate, we're continuing items 1, item 2, item 6A and 6B to the March 2nd agenda. I would take a motion to that effect.
This is Commissioner Sobolik, and I will move to continue those items to March 2nd.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Jennifer Holtz. I will second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second to continue the items. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Going on to item 3, first we'll hear a staff presentation from Aaron, who is online, and Donald here will be manning the PowerPoint.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Item 3 is titled Sanford Edition. This is a request for a growth plan amendment, major subdivision, and zoning map amendment. This application is being represented by Phil Seek with Sanford Health, as well as several other representatives from the Sanford Health and the Fargo Park District. The subject property is located at 6103 38th Street South. This is located on the north side of 64th Avenue South and on the west side of I-29, just south of the 52nd Avenue Walmart there. And the overall intent of this application is to accommodate the construction of a proposed regional sports complex and then as well as some future commercial development on the southwest portion of the subject property. Next slide, please. Maybe a couple slides of the subdivision. So specifically with this request, the proposed subdivision would plat the property into 6 lots on 4 different blocks and would plat right of way for the extension of 38th Street South from its existing location down to a connection with 64th Avenue on the south end of the subject property, as well as right-of-way for 2 local streets, 63rd Avenue South and Sports Drive South. The larger lot on the subdivision plat there in the northeast corner is the proposed location of the regional sports complex. This lot would be rezoned to PI, public and institutional, as would the triangular lot on the southeast corner of the subject property, which would be purchased by the city of Fargo for future interstate right-of-way purposes. The 4 remaining lots located on the kind of south and western corner there would be rezoned to LC, limited commercial, with a CO, conditional overlay, and those would be for future commercial development. Next slide, please. And then the last request would be in a proposed growth plan amendment, which would reclassify the southwest portion of the subject property from 2 different residential classifications, would reclassify that into future commercial land use as shown on the map on your screen there. So included in the staff report is staff's assessment of these 3 entitlement applications, as well as a handful of other key elements and considerations associated with the proposed entitlements. And just to start with the growth plan amendment, staff would first note that there is no parkland use classification within the 2007 growth plan. Park space is actually just shown for illustrative purposes on the map there. And within the growth plan itself, it's actually specifically noted that the PI zoning district is appropriate for all land use classifications and categories. And so with the placement of the sports complex along the interstate there, much of the planned commercial land use in this area is essentially displaced. And with the sports complex being proposed at this location, as well as the potential for a new interchange at 64th Avenue at some point years in the future, staff is comfortable with some additional commercial land use designation along 64th Avenue South. Next slide, please. Or yeah, keep there actually. So maybe speaking of traffic, traffic impact analysis has been conducted and is attached within the staff report for reference. The analysis finds that the planned street network within this area will be adequate to handle the anticipated traffic that would be generated by the sports complex. This analysis has been reviewed by the city traffic engineer, and no issues are found with it. There are a number of street projects in various phases of development within this area as well. As I mentioned, 38th Street will be connecting to 64th Avenue, which is going to be completed within the next year or so. And then 64th Avenue will be an overpass over I-29 that's scheduled for completion in 2022 to provide connectivity over the interstate to the east. Additionally, 45th Street and kind of the missing gap between 45th Street and 38th Street is planned to be constructed for traffic within the next couple of years as well. The construction of 38th Street will include a roundabout at 63rd Avenue. It would also include 2 10-foot multi-use paths along both sides of the street. There would also be a bike and pedestrian underpass actually underneath 38th Street that would provide some trail connectivity between the sports complex and future development to the west. Next slide, please. So stormwater for this site will be handled on site for the time being. However, ultimately in the future, stormwater will be conveyed via open ditch channel to a large regional retention pond, which would be located about a mile west of here, of the subject property here. And then once that pond has been constructed and a channel connection can be made, excuse me, that's the point in time where stormwater would be able to be handled off-site, and the need for on-site retention would no longer be needed once that connection can be made. The property is currently within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction and is in the process of annexation into the incorporated city limits. This will actually be discussed in more detail as part of item E1 on today's agenda. And then the proposed conditional overlay for the commercial lots. The language is including your staff report there, but it's basically the same language as is found elsewhere along the city's newer commercial corridors. In summary, in addition to providing some basic design standards, it also places restrictions on things like billboards along new arterial streets here. And I think the last thing I wanted to just note is that the Go 2030 Comprehensive Plan identifies the establishment of a regional sports complex as a catalyst project, as well as a key initiative for a few of the goals discussed within the plan, such as those relating to residential health, or resident health, I should say, the local economy, and the overall livability of the community. And so with that, that's kind of the highlights here. Staff is recommending approval of the proposal as it's consistent with the requirements of Go 2030, the LDC, and the 2007 Growth Plan. And I believe Phil Seek or members of his team should be there today to answer any specific questions you might have about the sports complex itself. I think they were planning on maybe saying a few words about that complex just for some context for this application here. So in case you wanted to hear from them, I guess, before you wanted to open it up for any questions. But that concludes my presentation. And like I said, I'd be happy to answer any questions now or hand it off to the Park District.
Okay, thanks, Aaron, for that. I guess I will ask the board if there's any questions now, or should we hear from the applicant first? Hearing none, I'd invite the applicant to speak.
This is Dawn.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I was just wondering now, this is called the Sanford Edition. Is this property owned by Sanford?
Yes, the property is currently owned by Sanford Health. However, the sports complex property will be conveyed to the Park District.
Okay, so the Park District will own the sports complex land and Sanford will own the remainder?
Correct. And the applicant may have
Okay.
some more detail to add to that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'll invite the applicant to speak. Please use the podium on that side. And introduce yourself as well, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Phil Seek. I'm with Sanford Health. We're extremely excited about this project. We've been working on this project for a handful of years between us and the Park District. This goes with our core tenets of investing in our communities, investing in the health of the people that we serve as well. So it's been a great partnership with the Park District. It's been highly collaborative with the City of Fargo engineering, planning, amongst other departments. So we're really pleased to see how this has kind of taken shape and developed. We truly believe this is going to be not only a catalyst for this part of town, but for the community as well. Craig here can talk a bit more about all the exciting things that will happen here at the complex, but we see this as really being that catalyst here for that part of town and to really charge that growth that's going to happen here and really be a regional destination for sporting activities. So.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Beer with the Fargo Park District Foundation. This certainly is a very exciting project for the Park District. This is certainly viewed in our standpoint as a tremendous need for our community to have more year-round access for our citizens. So we feel like with the partnership we have with Sanford, this is an incredible opportunity to really get to just offer something really truly unique to our citizens in the future. Also, the other aspect of this with drawing people into our community for tournaments and events. It's certainly been successful in other communities, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Minneapolis. There's many examples where this has been very well received and highly used. So as a staff, we're very excited about the potential of this project and what we can offer.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant? If not, thank you. Appreciate you guys adding this some context to this. I'm going to open up the hearing for public comment. Is there anybody from the public that is here or online that wishes to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment. Commissioners, do you have any other discussion or are you ready to act? I guess I did have one question for Aaron. There's the motion includes items 3A, B, and C. Is that correct? So we're looking for a motion for approval of all three?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. Commissioners, what's your will?
This is Jennifer. I will make a motion to approve as recommended in the packet.
Thank you, Commissioner Holtz. Is there a second?
Commissioner Sobolik, and I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Sobolik,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Tassa, Aye. Morgan,
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye. And the motion is passed. Thank you for being here today. Moving on to number 4A and 4B, Megan will present.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Item 4A, 4B, and 4C is the Brewhalla addition, which is an application for a minor subdivision, a zoning change from LI Limited Commercial and GC General Commercial with to General Commercial with a planned unit development overlay, a PUD master land use plan, and a PUD final plan. The property is located at 1612, 1620, 1630, 1632, 1666, and 1702 First Avenue North. The general area here you'll see up on the map is south of First Avenue in the 1600 and 1700 block. And on the south side is the railroad. Applicant Kevin Bartram is here if you have any questions. Quick note here, staff is recommending continuation of the application to the March 2nd meeting. Staff is presenting today in order to introduce the project and hear public comment, but recommends continuation for further coordination and finalization of details of the application. And as you've likely noticed, there are no findings in the staff report, as there is no recommendation today.
Thank you, Megan. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Megan at this time?
I will proceed with further presentation if that's okay, Chair.
My fault, sorry. Go ahead.
Up on your screen are images just taken recently of the existing site as it is today. This aerial image up on your screen just designates all of the applications aren't all on the same property. So the plat boundary, the minor subdivision, is in the blue hatch on your screen, whereas the zoning and the PUD overlay, the master land use plan and final plan is within the black boundary. So the difference is just on the south side, you'll see there's a building encroachment on property that is not included in the plat, but is included in the PUD. If there's any questions on that, please let me know. An additional thing to note is that though the agenda hearing notice and property owner letters note that there's a conditional overlay associated on the property, there is not. This area is maybe familiar to the Planning Commission. Over the last couple of years, there have been a number of CUPs here on this site to address parking and allow for industrial or residential uses. There's also a variance that exists on the site that allowed a structure in the southeast corner. The CUPs and variance will not be necessary if the PUD is approved, as the PUD would address these items. So I'll provide a brief overview of the PUD and the project. There may be additional details that the applicant wishes to discuss. So the applicant has applied for a zoning change with the PUD overlay to tailor the standards to the specific development. The applicant is proposing the Brewhalla Market, which I'm going to jump back here to a better. Okay, I'm going to go back to this aerial, apologies. So you see that most of the structures here on the site are already existing based on what you might find in the master land use plan. The applicant is proposing to build Brewhalla Market on the western side or the southwestern corner of the project, which is a new mixed-use building on the subject property. According to the applicant, the Brewhalla Market project is proposed to create a 4-story with lower level parking, mixed-use facility with 2 stories of food market, retail, multi-use event space, 3rd floor lodging units with the possibility for those to be apartments, 4th floor apartments. There would also be an on-grade corridor that would connect the Brewhalla Market to the existing Drecker project in the center of the space. Due to the complexities of this project and that parking is currently shared and how the buildings will be structured, the PUD is going to encompass this whole property to accommodate that. the existing structures and uses on site are not anticipated to change with this project. There are also some existing structures, as noted, on the east and the south side that do not meet setbacks, which the PUD will accommodate. The minor subdivision is to accommodate the multi-use building. It's proposed to have 2 lots and 1 block. Based on future ownership of the development, the proposed lot line does divide the development, and the structures are proposed on either side of the lot line that will be connected through a corridor, which will result in a 0 lot line. Up on your screen is the preliminary master land use plan provided by the applicant. As noted, all the structures on the eastern lot are existing, and on the western lot is the proposed Brewhalla market. The master land use plan shows the building envelope of the structures, parking and circulation, as well as open space. Next is the preliminary PUD final plan. The purpose of the PUD final plan is to confirm that the development plans are consistent with the intent and layout of the master plan. The applicant will also need to submit for a building permit, where all review departments will review the plans for compliance of their respective codes. The PUD overlay intends to modify a handful of development standards within the GC zoning district. Up on your screen, I'll quickly note, to allow residential and industrial use, to establish a residential density of 7 dwelling units per acre, which would accommodate the possibility for the lodging to be residential, to reduce the interior side setback to 0 feet, which is that shared lot line, to reduce the setback on the east interior side and the south rear setback to accommodate the non-conforming structures, to reduce parking lot perimeter landscaping to 4 feet, and to modify the off-street parking requirements for mixed-use development. In addition, it's also anticipated that the PUD overlay would establish additional standards which would largely be consistent with conditions of the existing CUPs. Staff has received 1 letter of support on the application, which is included in your packet. And to that end, staff is recommending continuation to the March 2nd Planning Commission meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Megan. Commissioners, any questions for Megan? If there's no questions, I'll invite the applicant to speak. And please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Bartram with MBA Investments and MBA Architects. Also joined by Mark Bjornstead from Drecker Brewing. I guess we're primarily here just to answer any questions. I think we appreciate the work that Megan has been doing and helping us along here. As she mentioned, a lot of the requirements that we're looking to modify are very similar to the existing development to the east. We just need to kind of work through some of the details, and we don't anticipate any major issues. We just kind of need to flesh everything out and get everything kind of drawn up. So with that, we're certainly here to answer any questions. I don't know if Mark wants to go into any more detail. I'm sure welcome to, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Well, I guess I would just say, again, my name is Mark Bjornstead from Drecker Brewing Company. Just how excited we are to present this project, how much we appreciate the work of the city on this. This fulfills a vision and kind of a dream we have for Fargo and what we try and do in creating unique experiences in placemaking. And we're doing this on a property that's currently blighted or kind of in that infill district and previous zoning requirements. And so this requires some creativity, and we know it's a little bit of a unique project. We certainly think it'll be something that is quite a great addition for the community. But just we really appreciate everyone's work on this project so far and their understanding and willingness to work with us.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
This is Dawn.
Go ahead.
I have a question for Kevin. I was just wondering now, it said there was some statement about the 0 lot line and how there was some mention of a future owner. Are you planning on selling it once it's developed and once you develop it?
No, the issue is that the existing property that where Drecker is located and the other facilities on the original site, the eastern part of the site, That's a different ownership group than this new proposed project. So we just need to draw a new property line to separate the two projects, as much probably for our lenders as for any other reason.
Yeah, that's understandable. So there'll be a set of different owners for the two different parcels or properties.
Right. I own the existing parcel, and Drecker and I are partnering up on the new one.
Okay, well, it sounds to me like a wonderful project.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited for it.
Any other questions, commissioners? If there's no other questions, thank you for speaking. It looks like an exciting project, and we'll hear more at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody from the public that would like to speak to this. Hearing none, I'll close the public comment. And commissioners, do you have any more discussion, or I'll take a motion to continue to the March 2nd meeting?
Commissioner Sobolik and I will move to continue to March 2nd.
Thank you, Commissioner Sobolik. Is there a second?
This is Scott. I will second
Second.
the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take the roll.
Tasa,
Aye.
Sobolik,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye. The motion is passed. Thank you, Megan. Moving on to number 5 with Maggie.
Good afternoon. Items 5A and 5B on your agenda are titled Azelson Farms 4th Edition. The subject property is located at 3523 and 3575 41st Street South. So on the aerial, you'll see the interstate and then 42nd Street to the west. And this is the view of the property from the street as it sits today. The applicant, which is J&B Properties, represented today by Nick Dietrich, is seeking approval of 2 entitlements. The first is a zoning map amendment, which would rezone a portion of existing Lot 4 from MR2, multi-dwelling residential, to LC, limited commercial, with the intent of constructing a dance studio. The remainder of the subject property would retain the existing MR2 zoning district. The second request is for a minor subdivision that would replat the existing lots into 2 new lots. So this is the plat, and the proposed lot 1 to the south will be the only portion of the property being rezoned to LC, with the remainder to the north, keeping that MR2 zoning. As always, property owners within 300 feet were notified of this request, and to date, staff received 1 inquiry but no formal complaints. Staff finds that all criteria have been met, and we are recommending approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions, as well as I believe Nick Dietrich is available virtually.
Thanks, Maggie. Commissioners, any questions for Maggie? Hearing none, I'll invite Mr. Dietrich to speak.
Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, first, I want to thank everybody for your time and Maggie for her work on this. I appreciate it. I guess there's not a whole lot to describe here other than the business that we're looking to construct as our customer is North Dakota Academy of Dance. They provide a nice service, and I think they'll be a good addition to the area. And I guess outside of what Maggie described, I'm here for questions, should anybody have any.
Thanks, Nick. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, I will open up the public comment if there's anybody in the audience or online that wants to speak to this item. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or discussion, or else I'll take a motion?
This is Commissioner Stoffer, and I move to approve with the motion in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, this is Dawn.
Thanks, Don, for the second. We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take the roll.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Tassa,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Foltz,
Aye.
Sobolik, Schneider.
Aye, and the motion is passed. Thanks, Mr. Dietrich. Moving on, number 6 is continued, so we'll move on to number 7 with Donald.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Donald Kress, the Department of Planning and Development. Item number 7 is the Timber Parkway, 5th edition, a minor subdivision. This is a little bit of a specialized one we don't see very often. Here the properties located 52nd Avenue South and Timber Parkway. Here's the Cashwise grocery store. These properties are currently undeveloped. The zoning is GC General Commercial. The zoning is not proposed to change with this subdivision. We call this a subdivision, but actually what it's only doing here is along Timber Parkway and the related streets, you'll see this cross-hatched line here. This is a negative access easement. And what this is that many plats have these, especially along major streets or other arterials, and it just limits the access from those streets onto those properties, especially in a busy street where you don't want a large number of driveways, just 1, 2, 3 for commercial properties. As you see, the entire eastern property line of these two properties has this negative access easement on it. All this plat does is propose to break that negative access easement here, a 40-foot width, and then there is an existing internal easement here that would connect to it, so there would be a driveway here. The applicant, Blake Carlson of Christensen Companies and Chris Mack of Christensen Companies, have worked with our engineering department, particularly our traffic engineer, Jeremy Gordon, to work out how this is going to be facilitated. Staff has no opposition to this. The applicant will be required to make some modifications to this adjacent street at their expense, which they've agreed to do. So again, you're not changing the lots, changing the lot configuration, but our only way to modify these negative access easements at this time is with a subdivision plat, because they were created with a plat, so they must be altered with a plat. I always like to take pictures on sunny days, but unfortunately Friday was a little overcast. This is just looking down Timber Creek Parkway here. Cashwise is behind me. Here's the Dairy Queen down here. That's 52nd Avenue. So you'll see about where that new driveway is going to go in there. And then this is the, along the private drive, again, the Cashwise is behind me. This is the street return that will go into that easement that we saw in there. So the road will go about like that. Again, recommended motion of approval is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. And again, Blake Carlson and Chris Mack from Christensen Companies are online with us today representing the project. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Donald. Any questions from the commissioners to Donald? Hearing no questions, I'll ask the applicant to speak if they would like.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Blake Carlson here. Yeah, Donald gave a good summary there. Just maybe one thing to add. By adding the access there, it's just going to be a right in, right out, not a full access. It just makes that private drive a little more usable. So yeah, we had worked with engineering on it. So, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you. We're going to open up the floor to public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this item? Anybody want to speak? If not, I'll close the public comment. Commissioners, any additional discussion, or are you ready to act?
Commissioner Sobolik and I will move to approve as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Dawn, this is a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, can we take the roll?
Tassa,
Aye.
Sobolik,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye, and the motion is passed. Donald, you did so nice. Why don't you take the next one too?
Thank you, sir. Maybe you can take the next three. Thank you, Commissioner Schneider. Agenda item 8, again, a minor subdivision, the Metropolitan Park, second edition. This property is located along 45th Street South, 30th Avenue South, and Calico Drive. It is currently undeveloped, been undeveloped for some time here. Just as a location here, the Anderson Park softball fields and Urban Plains development. Property is currently zoned LC, limited commercial. No zone change is proposed along with this plat. The plat here, the heavy shading is related to the floodplain, creates 4 lots, 1, 2, 3, facing 45th, and then 1 large lot in the back that runs the full length of the existing lot, accessed by a access and utility easement that runs down the middle here. There is, as we saw here, Park District owned properties here that have a bike trail in them. This is from Calico Drive. You're looking south, you can see the bike trail snaking along there. And then this is from 30th Avenue South, looking northward. This is the boundary between the existing apartment garages, which are on the adjacent property, and the subject property, which again, as we noted, is undeveloped. Again, just a straightforward subdivision there of 1 lot into 4. Staff's recommendation is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. The recommendation is for approval. The applicant, Nate Volmuth of Goldmark, is with us live here this afternoon and may wish to address the commission. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Donald. Any questions from the commission? If not, I'll invite the applicant to speak if they so wish.
Thank you, Rocky. And Commissioners, Nate Volmuth here. I don't have anything additional, but if you have questions for me, be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, appreciate that. I'll open up the floor to public comment. Does anybody wish to speak on this item? Does anybody wish to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public comment. And commissioners, any other discussion, or are you ready to act?
This is Scott. I move to approve with the motion in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Stoffren. Is there a second?
Commissioner Sobolik, and I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take the roll.
Sobolik,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Tassa,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Schneider.
And aye, and the motion is approved. Moving on to number 9. Donald?
Thank you, sir. Items 9A and 9B are the Southridge First Edition. This is not a plat. This is a growth plan amendment and a zone change. So a little different from our 2 previous cases. Property is located here on the corner of 25th Street South and 64th Avenue South. As you see, there are 6 lots here. They are not developed. They haven't been developed since they were platted. They are currently zoned MR3, multi-dwelling residential. The applicant, again, Blake Carlson from Christensen Companies, along with Chris Mack from Christensen Companies, proposed to rezone these 2 properties to LC, limited commercial. The zone change to limited commercial would also include a conditional overlay. As Aaron Nelson reminded us in our first case there, conditional overlay is an additional set of regulations that, similar to the one that's on the Sanford edition, would regulate signage and some limit certain uses and also provide for some design standards. So to change this zone from the residential to the commercial, it was also necessary to amend the 2007 growth plan. So as you see, the zoning here is the MR3. There is a limited commercial zoning across the street, and to have that zoning on a corner of 2 arterial streets in an area that's going to serve a fairly well-populated residential district is certainly something that staff would support. Here again, looking at the growth plan amendment, the current growth plan designates residential area, medium to high density, and now it's being proposed to change to commercial for that land use change. Pursuant to the Land Development Code regulations, we held a public open house virtually to allow any surrounding property owners to talk with staff and the developer and comment or ask about the proposed growth plan amendment. The notification for this, even though it's done virtually, is included in the property owning letters that go out to surrounding property owners within 300 feet. We didn't get any takers, but we held the meeting anyway. Blake and I were there online, and last Thursday, and we've had no other comment from surrounding owners. We have worked on the conditional overlay. Your commissioners received an email about 2 o'clock this afternoon with the detailed conditional overlay, the draft of that. It was stated in your staff report that that would be coming forward to you. Again, incorporates elements from the conditional overlays that you've all looked at frequently here, and we thank the applicant for working with us on that. He did have a few suggestions that we were able to accommodate in there, and I'd like to thank my fellow planners here, Mark Williams and Megan Elshaug, for working with me on that too. Here's the location, again, another snowy field, undeveloped. This is from 65th Avenue. You're looking diagonally across here. The truck out there is on 25th Street. And then here's the corner, 64th Avenue. Then going to the opposite corner, here's 64th Avenue and 25th Street. Again, there's 2 bike trails that come around here, so providing access to this area in addition to vehicular access. The recommended motion here for the growth plan amendment and the zone change for the conditional overlay is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. And again, Mr. Carlson and Mr. Mack from Christensen Companies are online if you have any questions for them. Thank you, Commissioners. That's the staff presentation for this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Donald from the commission? Hearing none, I'll invite the applicant to speak.
Hi again. Can you still hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Great.
Yeah, thanks for hearing this this item here. We think it makes a lot of sense for an LC in this location. Again, there's a LC zoning to the north. There's some multifamily. There's really not a lot of limited commercial spaces in that area between Davies up to the Don's Car Wash area. So I think it makes sense to have something there for the residents in that area. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Is there any questions from the commission for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you. I'll open up the floor for public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak to this item? If there's nobody that would like to speak to this item, I will close the public comment. And commissioners, any other discussion, or are you ready to act?
Mr. Chair, it's Commissioner Sobolik, and I will move to approve as presented.
Thanks, Commissioner Sobolik. Is there a second?
This is Scott. I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, we'll take the roll.
Morgan,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Tassa,
Aye.
Sobolik,
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye, and the motion is approved. We do have, that's the end of the public hearings. We do have another item under other items that Donald will cover. And I think on this one, we are looking for a vote, but there will not be a public hearing on this. Just forewarn everybody.
Yes,
Donald, go
thank
ahead.
you. Thank you for that clarification, sir. Agenda item E1 is a proposed annexation, and I believe my colleague, Mr. Williams, will be joining me here for the tag team presentation. Proposed here is an annexation of about 251 acres here. This property looks, if it looks familiar from earlier this afternoon, it is. This is the area, again, west of I-29 along 64th Avenue and some right-of-way along here on 45th Street. This area includes the Sanford addition, which Aaron Nelson showed us here as item 3. And there's some additional area here for future right-of-way for the future interchange 64th Avenue. There's drainage right-of-way, there's street right-of-way, And this piece down here, this approximately 15-acre piece, may look familiar to you commissioners from the January 5th Planning Commission meeting. That's the Covey Ranch plat, which is a single lot that is being platted for the development of the North Dakota State School of Science, or State College of Science, Career Academy. And all those properties are included in this annexation. Again, about 251 acres there. It's a city-initiated annexation. The property owners have all been notified of this annexation. The City Commission is the main player in the annexation process pursuant to state statute. However, we have the process of bringing an annexation before your commission, not so much to analyze the annexation itself, but to find it consistent with the growth plan. The zoning is currently agricultural, and then as the plats and their zone changes go forward, they would be, those would go into effect. Those plats would not go to the City Commission for final approval until this annexation has been approved. So they're all running parallel to each other, one might say. The Tier 1 South growth map, remember we started in 2007, so we're still within 20 years of that. We're still at 2021 here. This circle indicates the approximate location of the proposed annexation area, and as we see, it is in the Tier 1 annexation area to be done by 2027, or to be considered by 2027. It is, as we saw here, we see contiguous to existing city limits, existing streets here. As Aaron showed us, 38th Street will continue down here. 64th will not only cross the interstate by 2022, but as I understand it, will interchange with the interstate by 2025. So we're along arterials here and on 45th Street, of course, as we extend that property. Here's the annexation plat created by our engineering department. Just shows that plat. Here shows the uses intended here. Again, we looked at the Sanford edition here today. Right-of-way, the Career Academy, which your commission has already reviewed, and street and drainage right-of-way. So the recommendation from staff is that your commission find the proposed annexation is consistent with the 2007 growth plan, and then your decision is included in our report to the City Commission, which is scheduled for the final hearing on February 22nd. And Mr. Williams may have some additional comments. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Donald. Mark, do you have any additional?
No, other than we've been working on this for quite a while. We're excited to get this going. It's part of the 2,300 acre Southwest master plan stormwater area, and we'll look forward to get going on it. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Mark or Donald? I'll just say, looking at the line work, obviously it's planning, all you see is the square boxes sometimes, but appreciate that you guys look into managing growth and interchanges and connectivity and street right away and drainage. All that goes into, managing growth out there. So appreciate that. If there's no discussion on the item, we are looking for a voice vote to send a supportive recommendation to the City Commission.
Do you have a motion, sir?
If anybody is willing to take a motion, make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we support the proposed annexation as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Sobolik. Is there a second?
This is Scott. I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Stoffern, for the second. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, the motion is approved. And that is the end of the item. Anything else from staff? Nope. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Morgan.
I would just like to ask Donald if there is a brown bag on Monday that has to do with the presentation of the core neighborhood plan.
Sure, that's a good update, Donald.
That's the February 8th one. Mark, that's Aaron's presentation for the core neighborhood plan, correct? Yes, ma'am. That's Monday, February 8th.
Yes. So that's our coming Monday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's open to the public.
I believe that is correct. Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for that update. Maybe we can get a recap at our next meeting as well. Hearing nothing else, is there a second to that motion to adjourn? I heard.
I so move.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion's approved. Thank you, everybody.